Well, a pretty sizable snowstorm is on the way from DC up into New England. Thanks for clicking on to today's edition of Vogan's North American Outlook. A system that's pushing out of the Dakotas tonight will be spreading down into the Ohio Valley, and eventually through the day tomorrow we're going to see that area of low pressure developing off the Virginia Capes, really deepening, feeding back off those warm Atlantic waters. Now you can see here off the GFS, this is for later on this evening, and you can see here an area of green on this surface and precipitation chart. This is indicating the system that's the embedded clipper system that's actually been pushing down through Canada over the course of yesterday, and through the day today we've seen it swinging down through the Dakotas into Iowa, and that is going to be bringing a swath of really a few inches, maybe a coating to about 3 inches across this general area right here. But as this system pushes through the Ohio Valley and into the mid-Atlantic region tonight and tomorrow, this is when we're going to start to see the system really start to intensify as it pushes towards the Atlantic. This is into the day tomorrow, and you can see here an area of green showing that swath of snowfall, because look at those heights. We've got a 504, 510, 522, 528, so with plenty of cold air. It's getting drafted down from the Arctic region here, so this isn't your mix of Pacific and Arctic air. This is now your pure Arctic air that's coming down on the backside of this clipper system. But it's as this clipper system pushes through the Ohio Valley, you can see here 1,012 millibars, very elongated area of upper level disturbed weather. But as you can see here, as we push towards the middle part of the morning and towards the noon time, we are starting to see that area of low pressure gather strength, 1,008 millibars, forcing very cold air in on the backside here. But look at the swath of green starting to expand here. We're also starting to see the darker greens showing up here, indicating heavier precipitation. But this is before it even reaches the Atlantic. As it pushes out over the Atlantic, however, that's when we start to see things getting very interesting indeed here. Notice here those heights very, very low on the backside, down to 510 here south of Chicago. We're going to be seeing temperatures really starting to struggle towards the 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit for a high tomorrow, with 1,032 millibar high swinging down into Iowa. So we're going to see some very cold air through tonight and tomorrow night over the Midwest section of the country here. So that's area of low pressure starting to gather strength. Now that's now down to 1,004 millibars. Notice now that it's starting to push out in the Atlantic, so it's going to start to feel that ocean and the milder temperatures. This is a very quick look at the sea surface temperature anomalies off the east coast in particular. You notice here, out of anywhere globally, the east coast has some of the warmest sea surface temperatures compared to normal anywhere. So that warm water is definitely going to make a big difference once this area of low pressure feeds back. This is through 24 hours. This is getting into the afternoon period on Thursday, or Tuesday should I say. You notice here there's the area of low pressure now going to push off the Norfolk, Virginia coast. Notice here very heavy precipitation now starting to show up, so we're going to start to see some very heavy snow breaking out through West Virginia, the western half of Virginia, through the mountains, Garrett County, Maryland, in towards southern parts of Pennsylvania as well. We're going to see that precipitation really start to intensify by the latter stage of Tuesday here. A big area of heavy snow really from probably the New York City area through Trenton, through Philadelphia, Baltimore, into DC as well. Of course, we haven't seen a big snowstorm in DC for a good few years, probably back to 2009-10 when we've seen that big winter there, as well as across the whole northeast region. This is the biggest winter, of course, really since that. But DC has been disappointed several times over the heaviest snow, either to the west or to the north. Looks as if this time around we are going to see 3 to 6 inches of snow through the metro DC area. But notice here the concentration of heavy precip now on the northwest flank as that area of low pressure really starts to gather strength and it's going to be very tricky travel later in the day tomorrow, really from Richmond all the way up towards the Boston area through New York City, of course, as well. By the time we skip out to 36 hours, this is into the day on Wednesday, there's that area of low pressure down to 992 millibars, still precipitating through this region of the country here, right through the heart of the I-95. By the latter stages of the day, or latter stages of the morning on Wednesday, it appears to be that the precip is going to start to taper off, but it looks as if southern New England, really Hartford, Providence, Boston, going to get hit by pretty heavy snowfall with this system. Very strong winds now wrapping in the backside. Could see gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour along the Jersey, the Long Island, the Connecticut, and up into the New England coastline as well. Pressure down to 988 millibars. Very, very cold air coming down the backside. 504, 510 thickness values, and even your 522 line all the way down to the North Carolina, South Carolina state line. As for snowfall totals, it looks as if we're going to see some pretty generous amounts. Looks as if the heaviest precip will be right along that I-95 corridor. Looks as if DC could get, I reckon, about 3 to 6 inches. Maybe slightly higher, maybe 4 to 8, locally 10 through Baltimore, Philadelphia, Trenton, up into the greater New York City area. Then we could also see some foot totals through parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and perhaps around the Boston area as well with this system. And we could even see the bigger totals just east of the big cities as well, through parts of the Delmarva, Jersey, Long Island, and right along the coastline of not only Connecticut but Rhode Island and Massachusetts as well. So could see some very big totals here. This will be a disruptive snowstorm. It is going to be the biggest in a few years, probably in the DC area. On the backside, yes, it's going to be very, very cold. Here's your 850 temperatures by Wednesday midday, and you can see here minus 20 at 850 in Celsius through much of the northeast. As a result, we are going to see some very, very chilly numbers indeed. The core of the cold will be Wednesday morning, because that is when the precipitation is going to kick out. So really, the mid-Atlantic region is going to see some very chilly numbers Wednesday morning. Could be seeing, the GFS is indicating the zero line very close to Metro, DC, Baltimore, and even Philadelphia. Slightly less cold up across New York City, Hartford, Providence, Boston. The reason being is the snowstorm will still be ongoing here. Strong winds here, but it's really, really from the Midwest through the Ohio Valley and into the big cities of the Mid-Atlantic region. That is when the core of the cold is going to be Wednesday morning. Wouldn't be surprised if we get close to zero in these big cities. The core of the cold will be further north and east during the day on Thursday morning, and the mull is, funnily enough, showing close to zero. Philadelphia, New York, could get below zero in Hartford, and also very, very close to the zero line, maybe slightly below in Boston as well. So very, very cold air will follow this generally 3 to 6, locally 4 to 8 and 10-inch snowstorm. It will be the biggest snow, like I say, for a few cities, including the DC area. It will be followed potentially by the coldest air in a few years as well. Temperatures, by the way, with this Arctic outbreak could be colder than what we've seen back a couple of weeks ago across the region here. Temperatures during the day on Wednesday, by the way, it won't get out of the mid-teens probably across the region, including DC. So hope you can check out the write-up that's going to get posted just briefly after this video, and take care if you live in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region. Hope you have a good one. Bye for now.